Hello, students. Welcome to the class of English Literature. Today, we are going to discuss about the poem To Autumn, composed by John Keats, a very famous romantic poet. About his life and his works, we have discussed in our last video. So in this video I am going to focus only to our ode to autumn. In this ode, though the title doesn't contain the word ode, Keats is in a quite contented mood. It is marked neither by the depression of the ode to a nightingale nor the excitement of the ode to a Grecian urn. Its its keynote is tranquility, a serene acceptance of all that the season signifies. The structure of the ode is simple and clear. The three stanzas celebrate respectively the plenty of autumn, the sights of the season and its sounds, and when the poem ends, we are made naturally to think with a tinge of melancholy of the cold, bare days ahead. Now, I am going to describe its summary. Please pay attention to it. In this ode, Keats' speaker opens his first stanza by addressing autumn, describing its abundance and its intimacy with the sun, with whom autumn ripens fruits and causes the late flowers to bloom. In the second stanza, the speaker describes the figure of autumn as a female goddess, often seen sitting on a granary floor, her hair soft lifted by the wind, and often seen sleeping in the fields or watching a cider press squeezing the juice from apples. In the third stanza, the speaker tells autumn not to wonder where the songs of spring have gone, but instead to listen to her own music. At twilight, the small gnats, means small mosquitoes, hum among the river shallows or willow trees, lifted and dropped by the wind, and full grown lambs bleat from the hills. Crickets sing, robins whistle from the garden, and swallows gathering for their coming migration sing from the skies. This was the summary. Now I will explain this poem line by line. So we are moving towards to our text. This is the text of our poem To Autumn. The first stanza which we are going to study in this video, I am reading out this stanza for you. Season of mist and mellow fruitfulness. In this line, the word mist, you all know, mist means foggy, means कोहरा, and mellow, mellow का तात्पर्य हिंदी में पका हुआ, रसदार, रस से भरा हुआ, it is called mellow. Fruitfulness, close bosom friend, means very intimate friend of the maturing sun, conspiring with him how to laud and bless. Conspire means planning करना, कुछ षड्यंत्र करना. With fruits and wines that round the thatches run. Thatch means घास फूस से बना हुआ छप्पर. To band with apples the most cottage trees. Moss means kai. And fill all fruit with ripens to the core. Core means the center, very inner part of a fruit. To swell the god. Swell means fulana. To expand the god means एक प्रकार की वेजिटेबल, लौकी, पंपकिन इत्यादि. प्लम्प मीन्स होता है गूदेदार या फूला हुआ, मोटा. द हेजल सेल्स. हेजल मीन्स हल्के भूरी रंग की पहाड़ी बादाम, और सेल मीन्स उसका खोल. विद ए स्वीट कर्नल मीन्स गिरी या दाना, जो कि हेजल सेल के अंदर पाया जाता है. To set budding more and still more later flowers for the bees until they think warm days will never cease. Cease means stop. For summer has overbrimmed their clammy cells. Brim means भरा हुआ होना. Clammy means चिपचिपा, and cell means small compartment. Here cells of honeycomb we are talking about. Now we will start from the line number 1. From the title it is very clear that the speaker is talking about autumn. The speaker briefly describes the season and immediately jumps into personification, suggesting that autumn and the sun are old friends. So now the two close friends, the sun and the autumn, are conspiring. But what are they conspire about? They are planning how to make fruit grow on vines. Vines means bale. The curled around the roofs of thatched cottages. The image highlights the weight of the fruit as it loads down the vines. Thatched cottages suggest a pastoral setting characterized by shepherds, sheep, maidens, and agriculture. The pastoral as a literary genre was thought to originate in ancient Greece, and the ode is a Greek form, so it is appropriate for this ode to include pastoral themes. Now, in the next two lines, the apples bend down the branches of the mossy trees with their weight. The ripeness penetrates deep to the very core of the fruit. Now, further, the ripeness converged on the center of the fruit. Now, the ripeness expands like a balloon to fill up nuts and gourds. Now, further, the poet says, our speaker says, that autumn is not just a time of things dying off, turning brown, and falling to the ground. It also sets the stage for the return of growth in the spring. Here, in these lines, the speaker goes on a little imaginative trip into the next spring and summer, where the bees take advantage of the flowers that began as a small seed in autumn, and the bees will think the summer will never end and that the flowers will always be in bloom. This was the explanation of the stanza number 1. Now, in the next video, we shall meet with the explanation of stanza number 2 and 3. Till then, goodbye. Thank you, students.